I'm Lee Walker. I'm 75 years old. 2 weeks ago, I sat right here at this kitchen table in Birchwood, and I wired the last $8,427 from my 401k to pay for a hot air balloon ride over the Serengeti at sunrise. My retirement fund is officially zero. The statement is on the screen. Let me tell you why I'm not panicking, and why this empty account might be the fullest my life has ever been. Here's my confession, plain and simple. I don't regret spending every last dime of our savings on travel with my wife Ann these last 5 years. Not one bit. It cost us financial security. It cost our 5 kids a cushy inheritance. It cost us the sensible future we spent 40 years planning for. And it was the best decision I have ever made. You see, you cannot save your life for later. The best investment you can make is in the living moments you have left with the people you love. Let me tell you what happened. It started right in our living room 5 years ago. Ann and I were sitting with a financial planner, a nice young man with slick charts on his laptop. He pointed to a line that peaked when I was 85. Comfortable until 90, he said, with real pride in his voice. But I wasn't looking at the chart. I was looking at Ann. She was staring out the window at our bird feeder, her shoulders just slightly slumped. She looked so small to me in that moment, and I saw our future in that line on his screen. I saw a slow, predictable dimming of our light, measured out in quarterly statements. I felt a panic I hadn't felt since my first day as a programmer, staring at a screen full of broken code. That night, the quiet of our house felt heavier than ever. I couldn't sleep. My mind, that patient, problem-solving programmer's mind, was stuck on one terrifying calculation. What was the real cost of comfort? I got up and I found an old, half-finished puzzle buried in the closet. It was a map of the world. I spread it out on this very kitchen table, the pieces scattered. I was just looking for some order, I guess. Ann found me there at 3 a.m. She didn't ask what was wrong. She just sat down, picked up a blue and white piece. It was a fragment of the Aegean Sea near Greece, and with a soft click, she slotted it into place. I looked at her face in the dim light. I said, "What if the safe plan is the risky one? What if we're risking missing it all?" She just nodded. Her eyes were so clear. That silent nod was all the confirmation I needed. By noon the next day, the safe plan was over. We booked one-way tickets to Athens. Telling our 5 kids was interesting. Our oldest, the practical one, was deeply concerned. The others were a mix of excited and bewildered. We sold the second car. We put the house here in Birchwood on a long-term rental. We stored our keepsakes with the kids. The act of unbundling 50 years of life was terrifying, and it was exhilarating. We weren't running away. We were running toward something. We were buying back our own time. And so, with 2 backpacks and a dizzying sense of freedom, we landed in a world we'd only ever pieced together on cardboard. In a tiny taverna on Santorini, watching a sunset I'd seen 1,000 times in pictures, it hit me. I had nowhere to be, no code to debug, no meeting to schedule. For the first time in 40 years, my mind was quiet. Ann, who'd always done her yoga in our spare room, now did her sun salutations on a cliffside at dawn. I'd just sit with my coffee and watch her move. I wasn't watching my wife, the mother of our children. I was watching Anne, this astonishing, resilient woman I was rediscovering day by day. That slow, shared peace became our new currency, and we decided to spend it lavishly. A year later, we were in the Arashiyama bamboo grove in Kyoto. The light fell in these green shafts. Anne was practicing a tree pose right on the path, utterly still. A group of young tourists rushed past us, phones in the air, talking about their next Grammable spot. We didn't move. We had no next spot. We had this one. They were collecting locations. We were inhabiting a moment. My old life was ruled by the clock. This new life was measured in breaths, in the way Anne would reach for my hand without even looking. We thought we were just traveling, but we were slowly building a new definition of wealth. And then came the call that tested it. We were in a Costa Rican eco lodge, all humidity and the sound of howler monkeys. We were on a video call with our 3 grandkids. They were squealing, asking about the monkeys and the volcanoes. And in the background of the screen, I saw our oldest son's face. It was the same look he'd had when we first told him our plan 5 years ago. Love, but tinged with that deep, practical worry. He's a good man, a responsible man. He got that from me, I guess, or from the old me. After the kids logged off, laughing and waving, my phone rang. It was him, calling me back privately. "Dad," he said, his voice low and serious, "level with me. Are you and Mom okay? Financially?" The question just hung there in the humid air between the jungle sounds. I could hear the worry. He wasn't asking about our happiness. He was asking about the numbers, the legacy, the thing I was supposed to leave behind. I took a breath. I looked over at Anne, who was reading in a hammock, completely at peace. "We're spending your inheritance, son." I said it plain. The silence on the line felt vast, like I'd just shouted into a canyon. Then I said, "Hold on." I fumbled with my phone. I pulled up a picture from that very morning. It was us, covered in this rich gray mud from a volcanic hot spring, our skins slick with it, our faces creased with deep, unfiltered laughter. We looked utterly ridiculous and completely, vibrantly alive. I sent it to him. "This is your inheritance," I said, my voice getting a little thick. "The memory that your parents chose living over waiting, that we loved each other enough and were brave enough to be foolish together, to get muddy and laugh until we cried at 74 years old." He was quiet for a long time. I could hear him breathing. Then, softly, almost a whisper, he said, "Send me that picture." Not a question, a request. And in that moment, I knew he understood, not with his accountant's brain, but with his heart. His quiet acceptance, that shift, was a greater gift to me than any check I could have ever written to him. It was permission. It was understanding. It lifted the last invisible weight from my shoulders. That conversation freed us completely. We planned the final leg of our journey, Africa. When I saw the balloon safari package online, I didn't open our budget spreadsheet first. I didn't do the programmer's calculation. I just looked at Anne. I saw the woman who'd hiked the stone steps of Machu Picchu with me, her knees protesting, but her spirit absolutely soaring. I saw the woman who'd patiently learned 10 words of Thai to thank a street vendor, who'd sat with me in silent wonder watching penguins in Patagonia. And I did a different kind of math. I calculated the days we likely had left where an adventure like this, climbing into a basket before dawn, floating over a wild plain, was still physically possible. The math was simple and brutal. Our health, our togetherness, was the only truly non-renewable resource. The money was just paper. I clicked confirm on the payment for 2. I didn't feel fear. I felt a clean, sharp exhilaration. And so we found ourselves in a wicker basket in Tanzania, in the cold, dark air, long before sunrise. The balloon inflating was this monstrous, beautiful roar that shook the ground. Then, as we lifted off, the world fell utterly, profoundly silent. The sun broke the horizon, a line of fire, then spilled gold across the endless grasslands, revealing herds of wildebeest moving like a single shadowy organism below us. Anne's hand was in mine. We didn't speak. There were no more plans to make, no more accounts to check, no more explanations to give. We were just present, suspended in that silent golden light. In that boundless quiet, I felt a calm so deep it was like nothing I'd ever known. We hadn't escaped our mortality. We had simply stopped letting the fear of it dictate a life of caution. We had traded the cold numbers on a screen for this, a shared, breathless awe, the warmth of her hand in mine, the sun on our faces. Coming back down to earth was gentle. The champagne breakfast on the savannah felt like a celebration of everything. And eventually, we came back to Birchwood. But that feeling, that calm, didn't leave. It settled into my bones. It's here with me now, at this kitchen table. The bank statement in front of me says 0, but my balance sheet looks entirely different now. Asset: the memory of Anne's laughter, rich and full, in a Costa Rican mud bath. Liability: none. Asset: the specific warm weight of her hand in mine at sunrise over 3 different continents. Asset: the new peace in my son's voice when he now asks, "So where are you thinking of next?" instead of, "Are you okay?" I understand now, in a way I wish I'd understood at 50, that a number in an account promises security, but it can't promise life. It can't promise you'll still be you with your curiosity and your strength, or that your partner will still be them with all their light and memory when you finally decide the time is right. It can't promise you'll still be you with your curiosity and your strength, or that your partner will still be them with all their light and memory when you finally decide the time is right. And listen, I need to tell you something. The hardest part of this whole journey wasn't spending the money. It wasn't telling the kids. It wasn't even the fear of running out. It was a morning about a year ago in a little rented apartment in Lisbon. We'd been on the road for 4 years by then. Anne woke up and she was confused, not just sleepy confused. She looked around the room at the unfamiliar light through the shutters, and she didn't know where she was. She looked at me, and for a second, just a second, I saw a flicker of not knowing who I was either. My heart just stopped. It felt like the floor had vanished. She came back to herself almost immediately. She blinked, smiled, and said, "Good morning, you. Lisbon smells like bread today." But that That second lasted forever. We went out for coffee like we always did. We found a little square and sat in the sun. But I couldn't taste my coffee. All I could think about was that chart from the financial planner, the one that promised comfort until 90. I'd been so proud of us for escaping it, but in that moment I felt a different kind of panic. What if we'd been wrong? What if, in buying all these experiences, we'd left ourselves vulnerable to a different kind of disaster? What if she got sick, really sick, and we were in some foreign country with an empty bank account? I was quiet all morning. Anne knew. She always knows. She reached across the little metal table and put her hand over mine. "Lee," she said. Her voice was so calm. "What's the matter?" I couldn't say it. I couldn't give voice to the fear. So I said, "Nothing, just thinking." She gave me that look, the one that sees right through me. "You're thinking about the money," she said, not a question. I shook my head. "No, not the money." She waited. She's always been the patient one. I took a breath. "This morning, when you woke up." Her expression softened. She nodded slowly. "I know," she said. "It happens sometimes. The places all run together." She squeezed my hand. "But I always come back, and you're always there." "But what if," I started, and my voice cracked. "What if one day you don't? What if one day you can't? And we're here, and I've spent everything, and I can't take care of you?" There it was. The fear I'd been running from for 5 years, finally spoken aloud. I wasn't the brave adventurer. I was a 74-year-old man, terrified of failing the woman he loved. Anne didn't say anything for a long moment. She just looked at me, her eyes clear and blue in the Portuguese sun. Then she said something I'll never forget. "Lee," she said, "you have taken care of me every single day of my life since I was 22. You have given me 5 beautiful children. You built us a home in Birchwood with your own hands. You worked at that computer for 40 years so we could have this." She gestured around the square, at the old buildings, the people, the life. "If my mind goes, it won't matter if I'm in a hospital in Ann Arbor or a clinic in Lisbon. I won't know the difference. But I know the difference now, and you have given me this. You gave me the world while I could still see it, taste it, remember it." She leaned forward. "You think this is about taking care of me? This is taking care of me, the best possible way. You're giving me my life, Lee, my whole beautiful life, right up to the very end of it. Not just the safe, shrinking version we had planned." I looked at her. I saw the young woman I'd married. I saw the mother of my children. I saw the yoga student on the cliff in Santorini, and the muddy, laughing woman in Costa Rica. They were all there in her face, and I broke. Right there at that cafe table with the trams rattling past, I put my head in my hands and I cried. Not from sadness, but from this overwhelming relief. This release of a weight I hadn't even known I was still carrying. The weight of being responsible for a perfect, safe ending. She was telling me our ending didn't have to be perfect. It just had to be ours. She didn't try to stop me. She just kept her hand on mine. When I finally looked up, wiped my face, she was smiling this small, peaceful smile. "The safe plan had an ending too, you know," she said quietly. "It just happened in a living room, looking at a bird feeder." That was the moment, the real turning point. not on a mountain or in a balloon, but at a cheap metal table in Lisbon. That's when I truly understood what we were doing. We weren't avoiding the end. We were filling the middle so full, so rich, that the end became just a period on a very long, very beautiful sentence. After that, everything changed. The fear was gone, completely. When we planned the Africa trip, there was no hesitation. When I wired that last $8,427, my hand was steady, because I finally understood the math. The only thing we were spending was money, and the only thing we were buying was now. The only thing we were spending was money, and the only thing we were buying was now. Here's what I understand now, sitting here at 75 with an empty bank account and a heart that's full. I understand that for 40 years I was a programmer. My job was to anticipate every bug, every system failure, to build in safeguards and contingencies. I applied that same logic to our life. I built the perfect, safe code for our retirement, and it would have worked technically. The numbers would have added up, but life isn't code. You can't debug mortality. You can't put a contingency plan in place for a stiff knee, or a fading memory, or the simple, quiet dimming of curiosity. The greatest risk wasn't running out of money. It was running out of time while we were still us. The us that could get on a plane. The us that could laugh until we cried in a mud bath. The us that could feel wonder. That morning in Lisbon, when Anne was confused, that was the bug my SAFE program could never have fixed. No amount of money in a bank in Ann Arbor could have prevented that moment. But what our money did do, what spending it gave us, was everything that came before it. It gave us the Kyoto bamboo forest while she could still hold a tree pose. It gave us the Santorini cliffside while she could still do a sun salutation at dawn. It gave us the memory of her laughter, clear and strong, as a tangible thing I can hold on to. That's the real security. Not a number, but a library of lived moments so bright they light up even the scary parts. So my direct advice to you, especially if you're my age or getting close, and you're staring at your own charts, do your financial planning, be smart, but then make a different plan. The what if we live plan. Calculated in sunrises, not just dollars. Be brutally honest. How many good years do you truly think you have left, where you can walk without real pain, where your mind is sharp, where your partner is still your partner? For us, that number was 5. It might be 10 for you. It might be 2. But invest in those years first. Prioritize them over the years you might have later, where your world will inevitably grow small. Maybe your safari is just a cabin by a lake for a whole summer. Maybe your Greece is a road trip to see the grandkids, taking the slow, scenic route and staying in weird little motels. The scale doesn't matter. The intention does. The intention to spend your life, not just save it. To trade the promise of comfort for the experience of joy, right now, while you can still feel it in your bones. You still have time. I know it might not feel like it. I know the fear is real. The fear of being a burden. The fear of the unknown. The fear of what the kids will think. But let me tell you, the peace on the other side of that fear is deeper than any comfort money can buy. It's the peace of knowing you didn't wait. It's the peace in my son's voice now when he asks about our trips. That shift, that understanding, is a legacy more valuable than any stock portfolio. This channel, from what I understand, is full of stories like mine. People who've lived a little and learned a lot, sometimes the hard way. If this story of a retired programmer from Birchwood and his wife Ann spending it all to find themselves resonated with you, I'd be honored if you'd subscribe. Hit that notification bell. There might be other voices here who have the piece of wisdom you need to hear right now. And leave a comment down below. I'll read them. Tell me, what's the one trip, the one experience you keep putting off for someday? What's your version of our puzzle of Greece at 3 a.m.? Just writing it down can be the first step. If this made you think of someone, a parent, a spouse, a friend, who's always talking about their someday plans, share this video with them. Maybe it'll start a conversation. Hit the like button if you believe, even a little, that living now is the best investment. And if you have your own story, a lesson you've carved out of a long life, there's a way to share it. The folks who run this channel have a form in the description below. You don't have to be a writer, you just have to have lived it. Your story might be the nudge someone else needs. A book that helped me frame all this, long after I'd already made the choice, is called The Gift of Years by Joan Chittister. It's not about travel. It's about not apologizing for the space you take up in the world as you age. I'll leave a link to it below, too. In the end, the math is simple. You can't take it with you, but you can leave behind a trail of memories so vivid they become a kind of light for the people you love. For me, that light is the sound of Anne's laughter in the Costa Rican rain, the feel of her hand in mine as we rose into a Serengeti sunrise, the quiet click of a puzzle piece finding its home in the deep night. That's the interest my life earned, and it pays out every single day.